I don't know. A warm welcome to the universe of SAP BTP in a nutshell. Today we have episode 19 with SAP Innovation Awards winner Uniper. I have the honor of having Achim Lücke, Head of Architecture and Optimization from Uniper IT with me. Achim will, sorry, that was too early. Achim will talk about their journey from on-premise to the cloud and how SAP BTP contributed to that journey. Along with Achim, I have Andreas Fütterer, SAP BTP Customer Success Partner, who supported this entire project. But before we dive into the session, I would like to provide you a quick overview of upcoming sessions that might also be of interest to you. So in addition to today's session on October 12th, we have the last session on high availability and disaster recovery. As a follow-up to our universe series, we have the universe of SAP BTP's use cases, which will focus on how customers and partners have used BTP. And following that, we have in September a session on how to boost your operational efficiency with SAP AI Business Services. We have a session on how you can seamlessly integrate data with SAP Integration Suite, and 2 sessions on how to move from SAP Cloud Portal Services to SAP Build Workzone. In addition to these virtual events, we have on-site events. One in London, actually it was, no, the date is wrong, sorry, it will be tomorrow. We will have one in Helsinki and one in Oslo. And with this, I would like to hand over to Achim. Achim, over to you.
Yeah, first of all, Tanya, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm very happy and proud to present Uniper today and our journey, and also that I have my colleague, friend from SAP, Andreas, with me. So we will lead you together through the next hour, and yeah, please enjoy. Take your seatbelts. It will be a little bit entertainment, but also a lot of learnings and informations for you. Andreas, to you maybe for your introduction.
Thank you very much to both of you. It's Andreas speaking. It's a great pleasure being here today. We really had a great journey so far. And if I also take a look at our futuristic picture that we plan to realize, this is of course things ahead, but we can definitely be proud of what we've realized. We not only have proven that a sophisticated collaboration is unlocking the next level, but we've also showcased that BTP is the central instance of bringing innovation to life. And this is why we're super proud here today to speak to every one of you, outlining how we made this governance, methodology-wise, but also technology-wise. So looking forward to some exciting next minutes, and back to you, Achim.
Thank you very much, Andreas. So to my role, I'm heading a unit called Architecture and Optimization in the Commercial Solutions area. So basically responsible for the entire SAP landscape from architecture point of view, and trying to build all things together. And the key factor for us is now the BTP, because when it comes now to the S4 transformation, which already started in Uniper, is the tool which is heavily as a heart in the middle of our architecture. But let's go a little bit back and take you with us from the year 2018 until today. And for that, I will now share my screen so that you can also see the slides which we have. Release it, just a second, and make it also a little bit bigger. And this, I guess.
Excellent, it's working perfect.
Perfect, yeah. So you see Obelix, who is waiting on the street, and actually I was so happy, Andreas, when you asked me, or when we had a brainstorm how we can take this story, and I think to be a hitchhiker journey is exactly the right story for us, because we started already 2018 to implement the that time SAP Cloud Platform. So today, first of all, we would like to give you as audience a little bit a framework of our company, Uniper, so that you know whom you are talking or who is talking to you actually. And then we dive directly deeply into the why we use the Business Technology Platform. We will show you a kind of use case, a journey, which we did in the last years. Important is the architecture. As I said, as a central tool now, BTP helps you to get your systems from SAP also towards the future and coming to the cloud world. And we have also a demo example for you, which is quite new and fresh from the press. It went live this year. This is our perfect purchase requisition cockpit, where we have also heavily now artificial intelligence already included. And in the end, you will get some success drivers, because everything is about technology, of course, but technology is only 50% or maybe 40%. Important is that we are, as humans, stand together and that we feel as one team. Doesn't matter if we come from SAP, from DXC, from Uniper, from Adesso, or from other companies, that we stand together as one Uniper team and that we drive it with much team spirit and with much fun. Okay. Moving forward, I give you a little bit the Uniper information. So we are an international energy provider based in Düsseldorf. Currently, we have around 5,000 employees, and we take care mostly in the countries of Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, and Sweden, where we provide the energy to wholesalers. So that means not to the end customers directly, but in fact, then we have in Germany small Stadtwerke or industrial customers who are taking our power and gas. And that's then, let's say, our main business. And currently, as we are in the ownership of the German government, we are focusing heavily on the decarbonization in the next years. And especially in the field of hydrogen, Uniper is a big player, or will be also a big player in the future. So with our new LNG terminals, which we built up in the Haber in Germany, in Wilhelmshaven, we are able now to land normal LNG, but future-wise also green hydrogen can come from other continents, so that with that we can then also organize the decarbonization and a green energy transition. This is something what is really important for us. And currently we also support all communities basically in Germany to fulfill their concepts for the green energy transition as well, because just the time is running and we want also to stand together with all other partners in this business to drive it for us as humans. So that's basically the company informations. Our focus is really that nobody is sitting in the coldness in winter, and that always enough power is there also for electric cars now, which are growing and growing, but also for the normal supply of each and every household. So Andreas, maybe you can mention why we decided for BTP in 2018.
That's definitely a good point, Achim. So when we also take a look back, but also look forward to the futuristic roadmap, we see that BTP is an ultimate cornerstone of SAP's architecture picture. There is no other opportunity than leveraging the capabilities when it comes to analytics, but especially also to integration and extensibility. When we focus on paradigms, for example, like keeping the core clean while running, for example, still on ECC, or planning to have the futuristic move towards S4. So, and you, together with the team, have clearly identified this top priority from an architecture perspective, and also in your role as you are leading architecture from an IT perspective globally at Uniper, you definitely see the necessity of really shaping the focus on here. So this is why you've made the strategic decision of investing into BTP. And if we also want to give some further details here, you commercially invested into the so-called Cloud Platform Enterprise Agreement, which is granting you the opportunity of exploring a great variety of different services, different units, like digital experience, like integration, like artificial intelligence. So you see, there's a big portfolio of services, and we're talking around approximately 90 services that are within the Cloud Platform Enterprise Agreement, or shortly CPEA basket. So what we can see is it's a top priority from SAP side. It's the number one solution that SAP is granting to directly react to ever-changing market environments, to make sure that we have the technical skill set, that we have the upskilling of people also accordingly in your team, but also further. And we definitely also, and this is the third point I would like to mention, we also say that this tool is also widely supported, for example, by SAP Consulting to really speed up, as we've got a very strong premium engagement already established. And this is definitely also a critical success factor. That's what was really enabling our common success here, is the close collaboration around the platform and the technology supported by humans, as you already outlined. So all these 3 points are definitely calculating into why overall it was worth investing into BTP. And if there's one last aspect I would like to mention, the question is not whether to use BTP or not. The question is, when will you unlock the full potential of it, now or only tomorrow? And with this having said, Achim, back to you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. So Business Technology Platform, which you mentioned, was in 2018 still the SAP Cloud Platform. And basically our task was, because we had a spin-off behind us, we came out as Uniper out of E.ON, which is a big energy supplier in the German market as well. And we had the task to take over the Fiori applications, which we had there that time in place via the mobile platform infrastructure, which we didn't have anymore in Uniper. And therefore there was a question how to do that. And we came to the SAP Cloud Platform in first hand more as a proxy server, but it ensured us from the beginning the secure access from the open internet inside to our network. And that was the basic, let's say, decision security. I promised you entertainment, and just what you see is a video which my son produced actually in 2018 when he was still in the school. It was originally a water advertisement for his school. And I asked him, hey, Matteo, can you do this also with a mobile phone? And he did it, and you will see the result, and we promoted it. But it is 2017, 2018, so it's 5-6 years old. Enjoy. Yeah, so you see that we started, in fact, with the first Fiori apps then in 2017, 2018. And of course, with this video, with this promotion management, top management, our board members could approve their invoices and also holidays via mobile. it was a kind of trigger. We want more, we want more, we want more. And that's why it was then growing so much. And then, of course, we had our vision, what I said, simple dream the future. The future is now here already for us, and everything what we were dreaming about is already reality. And you can see here on this slide what happened with that. So we could really reduce time to the plant, in the plants by 50%. We were able to make a reduction of error rates in procurement and financial requests, and also improvement then in the handling of remote work requests. So that means across all line of businesses, Uniper were then able, or is able, with these applications now to foster simply digitalization, to foster automation, to foster also now artificial intelligence. And that's simply a little bit luck what we had, because simply BTP from SAP and Uniper IT, we went definitely to the same direction of our strategies. And that's, I think, was a little bit our luck, but in the end we followed it. And I think that the results are really remarkable now for our business. And even we have now also the according experience when it comes to the S4 implementations, which are now running. We have currently one small system on S4, and the rest will now follow by this year, next year, and over next year. And then we are complete. But this knowledge, what we gained, we can fully utilize already now, what is perfect. Andreas, would you like to mention something?
What I definitely would like to point out is that we see that BTP is like the unifying bracket. We're really putting a lot of topics into this, and when we see the variety of the portfolio, we see that, of course, what you've outlined is basically or mainly around process automation. It's around the capabilities of integration and the extensibility of it. But what we can also see, and what is also part of the BTP umbrella, is also that we leveraged on solutions that are in the analytics and planning scope. This is something that is also a key priority for Uniper. Although it's not mentioned here, we can definitely see that this is also streamlining the way how the process execution at Uniper side is currently running. For example, when it comes to HR planning, when it comes to finance planning, we see that a lot of things have definitely been promoted here, simplified, standardized, and optimized. And what we can definitely see is that the key figures that you luckily put down here on the slide are definitely not only any kind of imagination, but they are really measured. And this is something where you as the customers, at least from my perspective as a customer success partner, are continually struggling with. For example, how do you measure success? How do you manage the implementation of a dedicated solution and its return on investment? And this is something where you definitely can see that by showcasing these numbers, for example, 50% of reduction in time needed to fill accordingly the plant inspections. So this is something that has significant impact on how the workforce can conduct the activities, how accordingly the investment is fueled here. And what we can also see is that, for example, not only the actual process is improved, but also the error rates have significantly been reduced. And this is a major effort that can definitely show the potential of a standardized and harmonized process, where a modern solution that is not only running on a desktop device, but that is fully adjustable, also running on mobile devices and any kind of sort that we see in this regard. So at least from my perspective, what I would like to really bring across as a key message, this is a cross-solutioning approach, and this is also cross-processes and cross-industry. Back to Joachim.
Thank you, Andreas. So coming now a little bit from the benefits which we gained to some concrete use cases. So our use case journey, and you will then also get a chance to see it in action for one example at least. So some of the things we already mentioned. Yeah, Andreas mentioned regarding BTP that we have the active attention budget, MaxAttention budget premium engagement from SAP ordered. So SAP helps us also to leverage all these applications. So basically ideas coming inside from our business areas partially from IT areas. And together with SAP, we are discussing those things and we are moving them then forward. Yeah. So our SAP backends are currently, were moved already in 2019 from on-prem to the Azure tenant. So which was a very big step for us, and we switched then that time already from Oracle to HANA DB. So we have already some advantages which we have. And what we have at the moment is that we move our HR system, the HCM, human capital system, to the RISE environment, which will then start by beginning of the year. And as mentioned before, 2023, we will continue with our wholesale part, our ISU system, and 24 then the ERP landscape on itself, where it will be partially also some components from a greenfield approach. But coming back to Fiori, 2018, we started having the first launchpad then in place. And as I said before, with this matching of invoices and improving invoices, purchase requisitions, and so on, there was eager to do something more. And we got a request from the hydro power stations in Landshut, which is in the part of Bavaria, where we have a lot of hydro plants on rivers and also on lakes. And there was a manual process that time in place with the order book, which we then replaced by an app, where we then went really into the field already. Next to administration possibilities, we went into the field. And we had already that luck that we won that time an award, quality award from SAP in the silver area. And then it continued in another, let's say, engineer business for our Anlagen service colleagues, that we started for them to implement time recording and travel. Then we had more and more ideas. We made some validations if we can do some resume matching, which already was a kind of function of AI for HR. Finally, from Workers' Council perspective, we decided not to implement it and not to make, let's say, the robot maybe some choices of some buzzwords, who is the better applicant and who's maybe not so good. And that we said that time, it's a little critical, maybe in some years we can have a look there again. Invoice check was again something for the finance colleagues, where you then also can have a look around which kind of invoices are running independent from the system where you are work on. So that's a cockpit which is connected to more than one backend system. And we had also some time management solutions. From this Hydro app, we built then also 2019 and 20 an operational routine app. So the basic was set in the Hydro environment, and we moved ahead to gas stations, which are in the UK. We have there a gas-fired power station in Grain, and that was then our next step into the field. And I was there with a colleague, and when you saw the picture, why BTP, that is a colleague of mine. So it's not from internet or something like that. It was really made when we had there the first steps. And all colleagues, they liked it. You are thinking, oh my God, if you come with your mobile and people will not like it. It was simply not true. They really like it, and they like it even today. Going a little bit ahead, and also now from time perspective, 2020, we continued. We implemented SAP Analytics Cloud, which is also a part of BTP. And nowadays we are doing our HR planning with the SAP Analytics Cloud. We implemented a GRC approver app for access control, which makes it much more easier for managers to approve the SAP authorizations. In 21, we continued then to build the first bot for supplier. So a supplier can ask via internet, when will my invoice be paid? And the bot is simply answering, it doesn't exist, or it will be paid next Wednesday, or it is already paid. So a huge step. So Uniper received in the past around 200 to 300 calls every day. What is the status of my payment? And we could get, let's say, get this administration work again reduced. And that is meant what we had with the figures before. And finally, now in the last year, supplier evaluation is for our procurement department, design of authority. It's easier when, for instance, a new accountant is starting his or her job, and you can upfront already align all necessary SAP authorizations on one click in one workflow, which is really unbelievable, nice user experience and helps so much. Yeah. What is also nice, the GeoFlex app, which is flexible working. So in Uniper, we have since last year the rule that you can work as an employee 45 man days per year from abroad. So you can extend, in fact, your holiday, stay with your family and kids somewhere in your holiday house or in a rented holiday house. And for that, we built a Fiori app where you have to undertake some steps, some regulations because of tax and so on. It is necessary that it's really registered in a structured way, so that tax is happy, the employer and the boss is informed about this additional stay, and then it's easy for our colleagues also to enjoy some time, maybe on the places which they love. Yeah, so that's valid for EU countries. Yeah, and that's in fact our story, and one of this procurement cockpit we will show you later. So tremendous what was achieved in the last 4 or 5 years, and it still continues with new ideas flying in more or less every week, which is there. Andreas?
Nothing so much to add, honestly speaking. I'm again and again overwhelmed when I really take a look at this slide, when you also mentioned the tremendous path that we really went together hand in hand as two organizations, Uniper and SAP. What we can see is that already in the early days, when we're still speaking about HANA Cloud Platform over to SAP Cloud Platform, now Business Technology Platform, we're really good at rebranding stuff at SAP. But what has really shown over time is the tremendous evolvement of the maturity of the platform and also the services capabilities that we see. And what you also see is the amount and the effort that we put into the applications is more or less the same. Of course, the applications have become definitely much more complex and also intense from a working perspective. But with a predefined set of capabilities that we can directly use out of the box, it's also a synergy that we leverage also in the collaboration between SAP consulting services that are massively supporting this endeavor, and also, of course, your folks in the team around the architecture and optimization team that are really doing a great job. And what I always really want to recap, and this is also a personal story, is when we met, and I think it was after the Corona lockdown, and you said when you maybe might recap our Berlin meeting, when you said, for me, the most important factor of having a great collaboration is if someone external cannot identify who's Uniper and who's SAP. And this is something really remarkable that we, at least from my perspective, achieved together. But putting this in a nutshell, yes, we see the complexity of applications rising, and we also see the value of applications in part in regards to simplification and standardization pricing. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Andreas. And I can underline that we really try to build a team in the way that we work for one direction. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has sometimes not a good day, but that belongs to us, that belongs to the job. And we try always to go maybe sometimes through hard times, but come together, have a dinner, have fun, do some events together. And that's what makes in fact also the job and being together so attractive for me and to be here. Okay. Let's go ahead and stop talking for a second and give you now the possibility to see how a colleague in our power station is in use of this app. This is the mobile FLM app, which is for our inspection rounds. And the second one is for the corrective, when you have a pipe, some lag in a pipe or something else is broken, that they can do all the stuff now with Fiori. Yeah, I think that is for impression quite good to see it, that what comes out when you program those things. So it's also for us from IT always important to visit our colleagues on site, to be with them, to see how it's running, to see if everything is working, and also to get this experience. Yeah? You have to smell it, you have to feel it, you have to go around on yourselves. And then it gets a story which is somehow getting together, not sitting only in the office, but also be there, see it. And it's honestly also a lot of fun which we can have there. To see it makes a lot of motivation for our teams as well, when they can be together with our colleagues. Coming back and showing you a little bit about the architecture, what we have at the moment. This is an example of some use cases architecture, but I really would like to show it to you, because it is also the, let's say, building plan for you in your companies, how to set it up maybe. So you can see on the left side, there is the end user, and the end user is using the SAP build work zone, or in the older version, it's the Fiori portal services and Fiori Launchpad. And via that, we have here three examples. The GeoFlex is the one where you request your holiday working from abroad, or your working holiday from abroad. And then on the right side, you see that it goes then, in this case, via the HANA Cloud, and from HANA Cloud, it communicates then via the secure tunnel to the cloud connector, which is basically behind the firewall, and from there it enters the backend systems. But as you see, we have, for instance, for this GeoFlex, we have also integrated SAP SuccessFactors. So it's not only communication backend systems, but it's also able to communicate with SAP's cloud solutions, SuccessFactors, Ariba, Fieldglass. That's all possible, and you can even connect, and that's also what I like on SAP's architecture, that you have the choice of, let's say, the hack provider, if it is Google, Amazon, or Microsoft, so that you can make a choice, and you can also connect third-party systems, so that the platform is really open for SAP and also non-SAP, which sometimes is necessary because in each bigger enterprise, you have more than one software provider. Yeah, and this delegation of authority, I told you, it's similar in Perfect PR. It's a little bit more complex, but here you will see from us also a demo, and we are using here also the so-called cloud application programming environment. So everything, and that's maybe also lessons learned for you, step by step. The ABAP stuff is still possible to have it on Business Technology Platform, but there's also a new world, and you can program, let's say, in UI5 or Java in this cloud application programming, and you can handle a lot of customizing for you what you need for your processes in those captured cloud container environment, which makes it easy to operate because you can keep it a little bit outside of the, let's say, in brackets, old system environment. Andreas, looking to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Achim. What I would really like to outline is that we see that the platform is having different needs. So the scalability of the platform, the capability of scaling according to your needs is something that is a unique value proposition that also BTP is bringing towards your different demands. So and sometimes we really see less demand generation on the platform, but we definitely also see some peaks. And as you know, that also in the engagement together with SAP services, we deal around the topics of continuous integration and continuous development. So what we are also doing is we're really challenging the way how we can also future-proof the platform. So this is why not only from a technology perspective, but also from a methodology perspective, it's important to outline that BTP is bringing in a unique and ultimate skill set towards the market that is helping with the interaction of all the microservices, that customers can easily innovate and also can make sure that not only innovation is brought to life, but also important aspects like security concerns, like identity and access governance and management are out of the box and fully future-proofed, already pre-constructed. So what we can see here is also a wonderful and perfect play of an interaction of different platforms. So for example, you mentioned SuccessFactors, you mentioned Ariba, but we also see the Cloud Connector as a middleware layer that is directly accessing the technological landscape via the secure tunneling towards the perfect PI application. And this is not only the play of SAP, but we, for example, also see that in this case for identity and access governance management, you are in this case also using Azure as part of identity governance, and also ERP and Solman are running on Azure. So what we can overall say is that this is definitely a big variety of services that you are bringing to life in order to realize this dedicated application. So for example, for data management and data hosting, you're using HANA Cloud, you're using the connectivity services for writing and reading data towards the database. You're running cloud platform integration, or now newly known as integration suite, in order to have the best integration middleware layer in order to have a real-time data exchange. So what we can overall see is that, of course, there's a predefined set of construction capabilities that you're using, but you're really making the best out of this potpourri of different services. And what is always important also from a methodology perspective is you're not only driving this towards future-proofness from an architecture perspective, so that it's technology ready, but you're also, for example, acting here with user acceptance tests, making sure that you're continuously also searching for the exchange with the business departments in order to be fully sure and fully transparent that you're really working and realizing their business needs, their business value. And this is something we would really like to also convey as a message toward the market. It's not about developing something that is technology-wise super beautiful, but that is really fitting the ultimate needs of the business department. So this is why a really tight and streamlined approach between the business departments and the IT stakeholders is mission critical to really get this into realization. And this is something where definitely we're also counting on the buy-in of the management from the business department. Of course, this is ultimately conducted by the operational folks in the business departments, but we really need the top-to-top alignment between the business departments and the IT departments to really be capable of analyzing the needs of putting them into user stories, for example, as a potential format of really qualifying and quantifying those data. So this is something that we in the past leveraged to be successful in realizing something that fits a clear market need. With this having said, back to you.
Thank you, Andreas. Let's have a little look now to get to our use case and to show you a little bit the demo. As I already said in the beginning, the perfect purchase requisition was in the mind of our lovely colleague Philip last year, I think until May, and then we started to investigate, and within 1 year now we are able to use this application. So actually you are always ready, apart from SAP standard solutions, to build your own environment if you need this for your business. And as we are still on the ECC environment and not on S4 yet, we decided, yes, let's go for that. The effort for that was okay, and we could calculate a business case. So that's why we decided finally to do this project. Yeah, to give you a little bit more insights, and Andreas will then explain you also the demo later. Efficiency is the key. So exactly, we have on the left side the manual process. You must imagine, so purchase requisitions are entered or requested or put into the system, into the backend system from around 1,000 users out of 5,000 Uniper employees. So, and everybody is doing that in a little bit different way. And the purchaser in the end has much effort to bring it always in the right order and correct fields, and do this then with much manual effort. So what we wanted to achieve is in fact a kind of cockpit which is in between the end user and the purchaser. And with this cockpit, the purchaser has now the possibility to correct fields on itself with the possibility of around 90 to 95, sometimes even 98%. And then it's with one click, everything is fine and corrected, and it gains, as said, a lot of efficiency. So automation and digitalization, information and efficiency. To keep it here, solution presents here the key benefits to the end-to-end procure-to-pay process, as well as opportunities for leveraging IT solutions. This is a slide from our colleagues from the procurement department, from Andre, and I think it describes very well why we are doing things. So we are not doing things because it's only fun and gives us some new setup of technologies, but we are doing that really for purpose to support and help our business towards their targets. Procurement has the target and has nearly reached 90% of automation of all their processes, and this pays completely into that. And with that, Andreas, because you were also stronger involved in the project, I would like you to give the audience a little bit of feeling of the inside of the cockpit.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We can get the video rolling. So what you see here is a demo of the perfect purchase requisition. This is a tool that we want to use internally for the purchases, as well as in a later view, also externally, in order to grant the data accordingly. What you can see is that this is all leveraging the standard capabilities of SAP UI5 in order to really have a unified look and feel. What you can see is that we've got various selection boxes that are also operating with dedicated value hubs in order to make the selection accordingly. Which concrete purchase am I looking into? You can see that we're currently tick boxing, especially those, and we're now dispatching those to dedicated purchase requisitions. Also, we have an interaction field where we can again also see and be notified that this is now to be classified as a success. What we can see also here is that we've got the opportunity of drilling deeper into a dedicated purchase requisition item in this case. And you can see that here we put in some demo data in order to have this showcased here. So these are different items that are accordingly listed here. And what we can now do is we can trigger a so-called artificial intelligence check. This check is meant to correct and to identify any kind of data breach in regards to any kind of unsophisticated data entry that might have happened over the process. So with having implemented those AI checks, we can make sure that based on principles and rules that we implemented here, we can identify whether accordingly this perfect purchase requisition is perfect, or whether some dedicated data is missing or breached. which means, for example, in this case, a delivery date has to be adjusted accordingly to the business context, as of course, the delivery date needs to be after the requisition date. For example, just to give one heads up here, you can see that again and again, we are also saving the data and also to have it written back towards the backend system landscape. So what we're doing then next here is that we can have two options, either reject or approve the purchase requisition according to a dedicated reason. So for example, in this case, missing data so that the purchase requisition cannot be fully approved or be fully maintained along the process chain. So what is next upcoming here is that you see the backend landscape here in this case, where we can selectively also search again for this created purchase requisition. You see that now the conjunction here is made, and we've got the reason why in this case this purchase requisition has been rejected is also reflected in our backend system landscape. So then of course we can also make sure that the category and the status is set correctly, in this case as to rejected purchase requisition, as obviously some data is missing. So we can make sure that not an uncompleted or unfilled purchase requisition is sent out, so that we can also ensure process governance and process accuracy on our side, speaking out of the perspective of Uniper. What is then up to be conducted next here is that you see we can have again an overview in the purchaser cockpit, and that we overall see, okay, we made the selection accordingly and can see, okay, all tick boxed, we made the correct assumption. Achim, any additional words from your side?
Thank you very much. I presented it also outside of Uniper to some other companies in the energy world, and they couldn't believe that we are not on S4 yet, because it's so modern look and feel. That you must be on S4. I said, no, we are not, but we are going, of course, but it shows simply that we already combine new world, partially still with the old world, and can now build on this experience for the upcoming S4 projects, and it's really important, take this knowledge what we gained here in the business and also in IT for similar use cases where we can use the same technologies. Yeah, for instance, the invoice verification workflow, which is completely own programmed in our in-house in Uniper, to make it in the same and smooth way, and have, for instance, automatically the right invoice approvers via AIs and so on. So there is a lot of capabilities now inside, which we can use also now in our upcoming S4 projects. Thank you. I am looking also to the time, and we want to answer maybe some questions, but giving you a little bit an outlook or our resume of the success. So success doesn't come from itself. You always have to make it happen. So
hello and warm welcome.
First of all, and you saw it here, that is our team. The team behind is the most important thing. So what I said in the beginning, yeah, to be together, to have a common view, to have a common vision and a common mission, and to really try to work with fun. That is really the what I can repeat and repeat. Mistakes, pressure, everything happens, yeah. But in the end, we are one team and we try to go through together hand in hand. And that's why I see here that this is really one of the key. And of course, motivation for people is always to work with technology state of the art, which we can definitely say now, because Uniper is now in the business technology platform area, one of the front runners, and we are also proud of that. Yeah. Then, of course, it's important to have a strong relationship also with the business and understand the overall architecture and understand the business processes. So only having technology knowledge will not help you. You need to understand what is the purpose of a dedicated application or of a dedicated process to improve. Yeah. What is important, skilled and certified colleagues. Now we are implementing, after we are working already for 2 or 3 years in an agile mode, we are going really for the so-called safe agile framework, which will start in October with an on-site meeting in Regensburg, which is important for us because we were growing. We started as a kind of lab, and now we are more a program rather than a lab, and we have to adjust our organization also towards this new setup, because we have more than 30 applications up and running, and we need also to support them. So we need a different setup of the organization. Involve your business always from the beginning. Yeah, so make them as product owners if possible. Get your commitment to agile approach. These innovation awards, which you saw on some of the slides earlier, it's strong motivation, yeah, because being awarded from outside, getting maybe a prize personally enhanced, it makes you proud, like you win the Oscar. Yeah, so that's something. And I can tell you that it's not a marketing trick from SAP. You have really a hardcore jury who is judging that. And we applied also for some rounds where we were not successful, also to be honest here. But if you are successful, you get an outside insight, honest view, and it makes you and your team also happy. Yeah, internals, develop your team also to leaders and to stars. Let the sun shine on them. It's important to give them room for growing, but also being present in your organization. Yeah, allow to fail. I said it also just a couple of times. That's important. Yeah, everybody should also play the ball sometimes in their own goal. It's painful, but it can happen simply. Yeah. And work hand in hand with enterprise architects. This is something what I definitely see as very much important, because in the end you have to take some common decisions. Yeah. And on the right side, you see, I really like, as customer of SAP, that we have a pay-as-you-go model. That Andreas mentioned the contract details in the beginning. So that you only pay what you use. And BTP has the concept that customers paying only what they use. There is a basic fee, of course, but other than this basic fee, nothing is has to be paid. You can make plug and play with many functions of all these 90 services, and you pay only if you have it switched on and bring it also then step by step to production, so that you can also, from money and budget point of view, grow. And my wish, and it's more a wish to SAP, it could be the tool about composable ERP. So that's a Gartner buzzword. Composable means, in fact, the user will not see in which system he or she is working, but it's simply working. And with SAP backend system, it's possible, but maybe also for non-SAP systems, it should be one platform where the end user gets his daily tasks and can work. Doesn't matter on which backend he or she is. That's something what I would like to give to SAP as, how to say, improvement, or where I would wish to go. And of course, when you see now this perfect requisition cockpit, I would like also SAP to make customers as partner, because maybe we can benefit together when this is kind of industrial solution what we build now. Maybe other companies would be interested in that well, and we would get maybe some innovation budget out of that back for then the next topic. With that, Andreas?
I think there can't be any better cycle than having now the questions. So thank you very much, first of all, Achim. It's been a pleasure, as always. But over to you, Tanya, to give us some challenging and interesting questions, please.
Happy to do so. We actually have some questions. What are you doing for supplier evaluation with BTP, Achim? Or is it just a REBA? Are you also evaluating based on ESG criteria?
So supplier evaluation is typically SAP backend process, which is included in each ECC system. And we made simply the Fiori application out of that. So I think it's about dedicated purchase volume. And when you have a dedicated purchase volume, the one who requested the purchase order or the purchase requisition gets then, after the order was fulfilled, a request, and you can do in, I would say, 6, 7 categories, you can then do a supplier evaluation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And then the next question. Why do you need to connect to success factors to know employees' availability?
Connection to success factors has some reasons, because we have also the ECC in place, which is our, let's say, employee central, and it needs to be connected to success factors to have the full integration to BTP. So there is also some integration perspective. But for instance, now this dedicated use case, which I showed there for GeoFlex, it takes simply also some master data from the people who are requesting that. So it is not connected to the payroll backend system, but it's connected to success factors, and mainly we have there the master data, which are inside of that, and we use it in the app.
Great, thank you so much. Then what major impact do you foresee when you move to S4? Is there a lot of transformation effort needed?
So that's basically our really challenge. The challenge is to build the team, to let the team grow, because we also already see it now. We are still a quite small team. In fact, at the moment, we have 2 full-time employees supporting the BTP topics at Uniper, plus some students and plus some colleagues from SAP and also other companies. But we see that we are coming to the border. So if you go for the S4 transformation, you should definitely think about to build up here a team, because slightly everything what is backend today will step by step move to BTP, according so far I see it. And therefore, it's really important to build up the team. That is the key for that, to have enough colleagues. So it's really neat to be in the organization, an own BTP team, which has to be built up to be successful also with regards to S4. And if possible, make plug and play or try to enhance some first apps already on the ECC environment and build the capabilities before you move to S4.
Thank you. And we have another question from Srini. Why didn't you convert your system to S4HANA?
So basically, that's like in many companies, the decisions, because it's a huge number of money which you need for the transformation. The situation for Uniper in the last year were a little unclear, so that the business was not ready for that. But when you have then the dedicated business areas who are coming up with ideas, then you simply make a decision. Does it make sense now for 2-3 years? Will we have a business case? And then you go for that. And that was basically here also the driver for us to go ahead. But it's good for us because with that we have now the capabilities also built up, as said before, which we can heavily use under S4. Yeah, that's for us really an advantage even.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Achim, for answering all those questions. I've picked out those questions that seemed related to this presentation. And any other questions, we will look into them and post the answers in the comments area underneath this video.
Perfect. Great.
Any more questions? We have 3 minutes. In that case, Achim, I would like to thank you so much for your presentation, for your time to share all your experiences and the journey that you did to using SAP BTP to achieve all you have achieved so far. And of course, a big thank you to Andreas for providing all those additional insights that were really important to hear. There is one question from Max. Since administration work is being reduced greatly, what would be the value addition to SAP implementation partners and technical consultants?
Is it more for Andreas?
I thought so as well.
Oh, not an easy one, so to say. So basically speaking, what I can definitely also answer to this is, it definitely also depends on the situation. So what we see is, of course, with the help of premium engagement, also Achim's team, that is really a hugely skilled team, we were of course capable of also significantly reducing the administration work. But we see a lift and shift in how this workforce is then commonly used, for example, to really work on the AI checks in the realization phase, or as we also see that the mutual collaboration model is shifting also towards future-proof technologies. So of course, on the one hand side, we definitely see relief in manual work. We see a reduction in any kind of manual work that is strongly repeatable. But we see that there's a lift and shift when it comes to repetitive tasks that are reduced and innovative and creative tasks that are uplifted. So this is something that definitely makes sense, and we are also commonly steering this approach together. Achim, any additional points from your side to this?
No, exactly. Step by step, there are also a lot of partners outside in the market who can support you with Fiori and BTP know-how. It's still a little limited, but we see now it's really growing. And definitely it's important when you start to have a very experienced partner on your side when you build up your internal capability. So that there should be really professionals helping you with that. Because that's somehow so fast and quick growing with more or less new topics in BTP every week, or sometimes every day. So it's really then strongly and hard to follow everything. But when you focus really on your business, what you would like to reach, then it's really possible. And our experience is that the what is it, generation Y or Z, I'm not sure, born around like you, Andreas, 95, 96. That's the typical generation where it's easier for you to grow into those things rather than my age now. But I did also the principal propagations in the beginning on myself and make also some settings. So it's not rocket science, really not. But you need to grow into that, and it's the best way is really to get either PE support from SAP or to take another professional from the market who can help you with that.
Okay, great. We are on top of the hour, and of course, I would like to thank also our attendees very much for joining. I hope you got a lot of value from this session. Any other questions? Unfortunately, we cannot answer live now. We will take them and answer them in the comments area underneath. And with this, I wish you all a great day, a great evening, depending on where you are. Looking forward to see you.
Thank you very much, Tanja. Thank you, Andreas.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.